All right, so I'm going to turn my video off so I don't want to be seen on YouTube.
You can get your suit on for Planning Commission.
Yep.
Or at least
Half
your-
a suit, just the upper part.
My hair for
It was
the 4
looking
hours.
good.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead and. Are you ready for me to go ahead and start?
Yes, I believe we're ready to go live.
Okay, so just remember that once I tell you or go, it's 1 minute. It's 30 seconds to 1 minute behind. So as soon as I click this, it's going to go. So you guys ready?
We're ready.
Go for it.
Clicking.
Okay, I'm getting a message that we're live on YouTube. And now, Noah, are you going to hand over the host controls back to me?
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
no problem.
Okay, great. I think we're set to go. So this is the regular hearing of the Archaeological Review Committee for the City of Santa Fe. The date today is Thursday, May 7th. For those of you in attendance, when your case comes up on the agenda, if you have a case on the agenda, we'll move you to the panel, and then that will give you full capability to speak and be seen. If you have comments on a case during the public comment period of every case, please use your raise hand function, and we will make sure that you have a chance to speak. And also, if you'd like to type into the Q&A box, I'll be monitoring the Q&A box as well for any additional questions. So with that said, I will hand over the reins to Chair David Eck.
Thank you, Lisa. I call this meeting of the Archaeological Review Committee of 7 May to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. David Eck.
Present.
Jake Abbey.
Present.
Derek Pierce.
Present.
Courtney Wands.
Present.
Dale Zinn.
Here.
There is a quorum in attendance, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item is approval of agenda. Lisa, are there any changes to be made to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair, I have no changes to make to the agenda. I've just shared my screen, which has the agenda on it for public viewing. But I do not have any changes.
Thank you. Committee members in.
I have no objections to the agenda.
All right. Rather than go through all the members, if no one has any objections, we will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
A second.
We must have a roll call vote.
Yes,
Signify
sir.
approval by saying aye.
Jake Abbey.
Aye.
Derek Pierce.
Aye.
Courtney Wands.
Aye.
Dale Zinn.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you. Next item is approval of minutes from 23 April 2020. Anything to add to all this, Lisa, before we proceed?
I do not have anything to add.
All right. Members in.
I had something I can't resolve. I don't remember what it said. I don't know if it needs to be brought up. There was an inaudible question I had for Lisa, and she said she didn't know the answer. And I certainly don't know what the question was now, so that was on page 34 of the minutes. So I think we'll just leave it as it is, Mr. Chair. On page 41, starting with the second paragraph, it refers to a convoluted statement of mine, I think. He said, at the second sentence, he said, and then I think it goes, delete he and put in quotation, this property came within one vote of being declared significant in the Santa Fe district by the Historic Design Review Board, close quote. How, where it says inaudible, I think what it says, said I would argue that significant is not valid, but it is contributing with almost all facades being primary. And then I said most of that which took place under the 1950s, I believe would be eligible for at least state register of historic properties, but probably not the national. And then so I said I would argue strongly about the statement that it's ineligible for those two registers.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that is a direct quote. And he changed what he said, so I don't know what you want to do about that.
I don't want to change history, so if I didn't say strongly, then that's fine.
No,
I'll
sir.
say it now, I'm strong. But I don't want to use just on the side. I don't want that statement that it's not eligible by the archaeologist to be used somewhere down the road with in front of the H board as saying this building shouldn't be, isn't eligible.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Zinn, if you don't like the statement, you can strike it.
Well, I can't strike the archaeologist statement.
You can.
So the only thing I want to
strike
do
any-
is, I don't think I can strike his statements, but the inaudible one,
I
can.
will put that, what you said, where it
all
says.
right, that's all I need to say. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you for holding that.
Other than that, I have nothing else, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Member Wands?
Sorry.
I think we're battling.
Having unmuting problems.
I'm sorry. So we didn't hear your comments.
Oh, there's one area I'd like to correct, but since I have no idea what it is, I actually said I can't really correct it, so I've got no correction.
All right. Then moving on to Member Ivy.
I have no comments.
Thank you. Member Pierce.
No issues with minutes. They were very good as usual, but even tougher circumstances this time. So they're to be commended for doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right. I have no comments to make regards to the minutes, so we can entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of April 23rd, 2020. As are.
I would second that, but add my amendments to that.
We did have a correction by Mr. Zinn.
Please, then
I will.
amend my motion to include those corrections.
Thank you.
I second that.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Well, let's have a roll call.
Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
Dale Zinn,
Aye.
Jake Abbey.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you. We'll now move to matters from the floor.
So if anyone from the floor, as an attendee, has a matter to raise, you can raise your hand either by, well, everyone's online, so using your raise hand button. But I am not seeing any hands raised.
All right then, thank you. We will move on to action items. Number one being case number 2013. Ron Winters, agent for Kelly Cable, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the proposed CenturyLink project at East Palace Avenue and Cienega Street in the historic downtown Archaeological Review District. Thank you for the staff report, Lisa. Anything to add?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ron Winters, is there anything we need to know?
Are we good?
Now we can hear you.
Okay. I would only say that there is a site that was, when I doing the NIMCRIS search, there was a site in close proximity, LA 174243, to the project area. Although there was no description as it was listed as data entry in progress. The client has requested a bore on this project because of the pushback they got from the city about taking up the sidewalk in terms of if needing to trench that, and then the crossing of Palace Avenue. Back to the site that I mentioned, it wouldn't be impacted by this scope of work, as the project will begin from an existing manhole on the south side of the street and go to the new handhole 170 feet north. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Chair, may I clarify what he said? Did you
Sure.
say an existing handhole or an existing manhole in the middle of the street?
It's an existing manhole, and it's
Thank
going
you.
to a new handhole.
Handhole, okay. Thank you very much.
Both
Chair.
were involved.
Okay, both words, okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Members in,
I have no questions on this one, Chair.
thank you. Member Wands,
So, could you clarify a little further about how it won't go through the site? How it won't go through 174241?
243.
No, there's two sites that it's potentially going through.
Oh, okay. Well, from what I could tell on the ground, it looked like it went down the center of the street. I can't, like I said, I couldn't find further information based on the NIMCRIS search. So I can't tell exactly, with no site forms, where it traveled. In the bore, normally they'll stay 4 to 5 feet, below the ground surface. I can't say for a fact that it wouldn't impact them, but part of that has to do with not being able to get a description of it.
Right. Did you contact OAS about getting a description of the sites?
I did not.
And then I also wanted to ask, I noticed in your description in your methods, it seems you're mainly focusing on trenching.
No, there's a small amount of trenching. Most of it is a bore. You're right.
Right. I'm saying, but your methods are primarily discussing things that you would do during trenching, not boring.
Okay, I didn't include the boring. I thought I did.
You're talking about 5-foot
Methodology.
long profiles in the trenches and everything like that versus
got
what
it,
you
yeah.
wouldn't see in boring.
Got it.
So,
I can.
those were my comments on it.
Thank you, Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, who was that for, David?
Member Ivy?
Oh.
I have no comments.
Thank you, Jake. Member Pierce?
I have no comments either.
All right, thank you. I think the only thing I would offer to follow up on number one's questions is that I think I'd strongly encourage a contact to OAS to get some direct idea of what it is they found, exactly where, how it's defined, and be clear before the project begins as to any chance of it being a factor during your monitoring.
Okay.
So does someone care to make a motion?
I move that in case 2020-002013 ARC Ron Winters, that we approve the monitoring plan. Courtney, did you suggest a change? I mean, David, did you suggest a change, the two of you?
With
It really doesn't reflect a change to the document. We're just trying to prompt a conversation and an exchange of information prior to the project beginning so as to hopefully ward off any surprises.
Yes.
I would-
Okay.
I would second the motion with the addendum that Mr. Winters approach the and get additional information about the specifics of those sites and whether it'll be impacted.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Is that
Accept
clear?
that?
Mr. Chair, can you, what is the site that is of concern in particular?
So,
LA number?
LA 174243 runs down Palace, but LA 174241 runs down Cienega.
Okay.
1742 what?
Sorry. 174241 runs down Cienega, and LA 174243 runs down Palace. So they're perpendicular to each other, and they were found in backhoe trenches themselves.
Courtney, I would say, I mean, I know that they went down Palace in the street and in the street on Cienega, and the bore were planning on doing the starting at the manhole and going under the sidewalk there. So that doesn't mean that site doesn't, those sites don't, extend beyond, and but it is a slightly different location. So it would be great to find out what Eric knows about that, if he can tell me, and so I can be aware of that. I agree with David, prior to the field work.
Right, because 10 feet when discussing trenches, if it's a site, you're still most likely going to hit it.
Right, right.
The key bit of information would be the depth.
Right.
And that plays off against the proposed bore.
Got it.
As long as you're going deeper, then you will probably successfully avoid it. So after that further discussion, where do we stand? We have a motion and a second. We need
We do.
a roll call.
Mr. Chair, prior to the roll call, I got an acronym that he needed to contact, which was OAS. Could you give what that acronym stands for?
Certainly, that's the Office of Archaeological Studies.
And that's Dr. Blindman's group, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Thank you, and I will call the roll.
Sorry for being obtuse.
Mr. Chair, before we call the roll, can I just verify that I have the motion down correctly because there was so much discussion? Do you mind if I just repeat back what I have for the motion?
Please.
Go right.
Okay, so I understand the motion to be as follows. To approve the monitoring plan with the suggestion that the archaeologist contact Office of Archaeological Studies for further info on site LA 174243, LA 174241 prior to work beginning.
Yes.
That's an elegant rephrasing, yes.
He said there were also a couple minor corrections that Courtney had that I noted.
I don't think
Yeah.
she was asking for correction. She just was noting that it speaks more to trenching than it does boring.
Got it.
I think that stands as the motion, Lisa. And Mr. Chair, I'd call for the question.
Yes.
Shall I-
May we proceed?
Yes, sir. Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
Dale Zinn,
Aye.
Jake Addy.
Aye.
The motion has been approved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is case number 2020-2014. Ron Winters, agent for Orlin Gerortis, requests approval of an archaeological reconnaissance report for 8.387 acres within a portion of small holding claim 1229 for proposed development on Kate's Way in River and Trails Archaeological Review District. Lisa, is there anything to add to your staff report?
I have nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
I would offer a suggestion that you refrain from using the word determined prior to the consideration of any entities recorded and documented and presented until the committee has had their say. Contractors do not make determinations.
Gotcha.
All right, Mr. Winters, what do we need to know?
Well, I just wanted to say that, the description of HCPI 48479 is limited, given that, all of the state and city agencies where historical background research would normally be conducted were closed. And so a lot of that information is not available online. I was in contact with the BLM and the government land office. I did get the township range and section plat that you see there. And I also looked at was advised to maybe look at the field notes, and I went through all of the field notes for that area and didn't see any reference to this road. So I'm basing my relative age of the roadbed on its construction and its lack of use in recent years. So, like I said, there was not a lot to say about it. It certainly, I believe, was historic based on some of the artifacts associated, and just given its physical appearance.
All right.
Mr. Chair, may I get clarification for the acronym that Mr. Winters used?
Please do.
You looked at something called P what? You
The
looked at all the
BLM, GLO.
BLM.
Yeah, and then the GLO, the Government Land Office.
Yes, and but you said you looked at all of the GLOs.
Well, I researched their site.
Thank you. That's what that answers my question. Thank you.
Oh,
Mr. Wood.
okay.
All right. Members in.
I have no questions. I just wanted to ask Ron, and maybe it's my own obtuse reading of this, but how is this related to the other one on Kate's Way geographically? Are they the one you, I think, are still out there working on?
Oh, the historic dwellings that I excavated.
Right.
Yeah. It's not that far. It's probably maybe 500 feet, but the only thing that might have been associated was on IO1. There were a few fragments of metal cans, maybe background noise from that site. The site boundary didn't go all the way to Kate's Way on the east, but it didn't really relate other than those few can fragments.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to mention that I just, in terms of those areas and the historic, the limited disturbance and the interesting history of those small holding claims, it makes kind of a nice context to the history of that area of Santa Fe that we don't know much about. And it could have very well been farm and ranch stuff that kind of started overlapping historic stuff. And I just wanted to thank you for your brief but great history on the history of horseshoes.
You got to work with what you have.
Exactly. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dale. Member Wands.
I had no comments. I just, the only thing I would note is, I think normally roadbeds, we record as sites just for future reference.
Okay.
Other than that, no comments.
I'm sorry to say what?
I think we've been recording roadbeds as sites, not on HICP forms. So it doesn't have to be changed or anything, just kind of for future reference.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Member Ivy.
I love the bit about the silver horseshoe. Other than that, no comment.
Thank you, Jake. Member Pierce.
I have no comments on this case.
All right. Here I go. First, I want to congratulate you on the use of new and different reference material for your discussion of the project area and environment. Then I'm going to burst that balloon by saying the citations to the sources are not in your references cited. Dick Petty does not appear.
I didn't cite it in the references.
The reference to Dick Petty, 1993, does not appear in the references cited, at least as I have them before me.
Okay.
And the reference to the NRCS 2016 given in the text does not appear in the references cited. Instead, it appears as 2019.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, what page is that?
Oh, excuse me. That's on page 8.
Thank you.
The third, fourth paragraphs. page 21 of the packet, page 19 of your document, Ron, the paragraph at the top of the page, you note that one of the sites occurs within close proximity, although it is not what was originally described. I happen to know how you know that, but it would be good to have a citation to yourself to explain why you made that statement.
Not everybody knew that. Got it.
Page 33 of the packet, 31 of your document, where you describe this abandoned historic road. As running along the eastern edge of the project area. Your illustration seems to show it running almost down the middle of the project area. So I was a little geographically challenged there. And then you refer to figure 9 in paragraph 1 of that page, but you never refer to figure 10, which actually shows where the alignment is on the plat. So I think perhaps you should revamp your discussion of geography and include a citation to figure 10.
Got it.
And that is all. Does someone want to take a stab at a motion?
I move for approval of 2020.
Mr. Chair,
Okay.
I apologize for,
Hold on.
I believe we forgot to ask for public comment on the first case and
Oops.
ask for public comment on this case as well. Or in,
I yield to the public.
we don't need to go back to the last case, but we do need to ask for public comment.
So if
you're doing
anyone has
that?
any comments, signify by raising your hand, digitally or otherwise.
I'm not seeing any hands raised. Thank you for that procedural
All right.
note.
After an abundance of quiet from the public, I will move for case 2020-00214 ARC be approved as submitted with the additional citations requested by the chair.
I second that.
If there's no other discussion, we can move to a roll call.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
Dale Zinn,
Aye.
Jake Ivey,
Aye.
and Derek Pierce.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank
Case
you,
number-
everyone. I'll see you next month.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to case number
I'm going to get
2020.
a battery charger.
Go ahead.
Keep going, please.
We will move on to case number 2020-2015. Office of Archaeological Studies, agent for Concetta Networks, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of 2,380 linear feet of subsurface conduit at Zia Road in the Suburban Archaeological Review District.
Lisa, is Susan Stinson in the audience?
Mr. Chair and Dr. Blinman, yes, I've just moved Susan over to the panel.
Good, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you for your staff report, Lisa. Anything to add to that?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
All right, then we will turn it over to Dr. Blinman.
don't think there's much to add on this. It's again, lots of boring between beneath well-developed city streets.
Yes. All right. Members of the committee. Members in.
I have no comments.
Thank you. Member ones.
Thank you for the preemptive survey. And that was my only comment.
Thank you, Courtney. Member Ivy.
You got some nice maps in here, Ron. Anyway,
Always do.
other than that, no comment.
Thank you, Jake. Member Pierce.
I want to echo member one's appreciation of the survey done ahead of this. The plan doesn't include much actual monitoring, 16 feet out of however many. But the fact that OAS went out there and surveyed all visible ground ahead of time, that puts me at ease. So I have no further concerns.
Thank you. And I will add to that by saying a job well done. Knowing what we're dealing with before we start is always helpful.
Thanks, Susan, for that.
Well, thank you, Susan. If she's someone want to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, we do have to ask for public comment whether we receive any or not. Thank you.
Yep. I need an instruction sheet on how to do things differently when we're on the digital slippery slope.
Yes.
Are there any members of the public or anyone else in attendance wishing to make any comment? Signify by raising your digital hand.
Mr. Chair, I see no hands raised.
Thank you. Now we can entertain a motion.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve case 2015, Office of Archaeological Studies for Concetta Networks, with no corrections, I believe.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Dale Sen,
Aye.
Jake Ivy,
Aye.
Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands.
Hi.
Mr. Chair, the motion has been approved.
Thank you. Next case, 2020-2016, Office of Archaeological Studies, Agent for High Five Networks, requests approval of an archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of 657 linear feet of subsurface conduit along West San Francisco Street in historic downtown Archaeological Review District. Thank you for your staff report, Lisa. Anything to add or change?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Once again, Dr. Blindman, is there anything we need to know?
Is Karen Wenning promoted to being on the panel?
Yes, Dr. Blimmen, Karen is on the panel now. She can.
Great, because she knows and I don't.
We'll unmute her. There she goes. Now you're heard, Karen.
There's a chance her computer doesn't have a mic, come to think of it. So
Okay.
we'll figure that out.
All right.
If she wishes, I'll just say, if she wishes to type a question into the Q&A box or type a statement or anything, I can read it into the record.
Okay, and I will also, I'll quickly run down to her end of the building and invite her down to my computer.
Okay.
She is here.
Mr. Chair, can I take a pause here? I'll turn the tape before he comes back. Thank
Please
you.
do.
Hi, I'm here.
She's here.
Wait a moment.
Do you have anything to add?
I do.
No, don't start yet.
Okay.
I'm having mechanical problems here. Ready to go, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, Karen, is there anything we need to know before we proceed?
Okay, hello. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I have 3 corrections to make. The first one is on page 26. At the bottom of the first paragraph, I just want to make an addition to the very last sentence so that it reads, the addition would be at the end of the sentence, and it will read from 1908 until 1967 when Guadalupe Street was widened. And the second one is on page 32. Again, it's an addition to the last sentence. And the addition would be at the very end of the sentence. And it would be having been constructed by 1882. And then the third one is on page 34. It's the second to the last sentence. There's a phrase in there that reads, possibly having been abandoned with the coming of the railroad. I'd like to strike that sentence and replace it with, as it is in Stoner's 1882 map. Because that house was unroofed in 1882 as well. So if it was abandoned, it didn't have anything to do with the coming of the D&RG Railroad.
Mr. Chair, clarification, please.
Yes.
Was the last editorial to what you added to it, is it supposed to be as it is in Stoner's 1882 map?
Yes.
Is that all the language to be added?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, those 3.
Thank you, Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Committee members, Member Zinn.
I have no questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Member Wands.
No questions. Great job.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Member Ivy.
Nice color illustrations. Other than that, no comment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Member Pierce.
Just one quick comment. This definitely looks like a high potential area. So I'm pleased that this project is trenching and not boring for a change, but we actually will have a pretty good look at what's there. And then because it is trenching, it seems like now would be an opportune time to get it done while streets are deserted. So hopefully we can get this done for you tonight and get you out there in the field.
Yeah, great.
That's it.
Thank you, Derek. Anyone in the audience wishing to add any comments, ask any questions, signified by raising your digital hand.
We have no hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Committee, will someone make a motion?
Mr. I move that we approve case 2016 archaeological monitoring plan for the installation of Comcast conduit on West San Francisco Street.
Second.
With Ms. Winning's corrections.
Please.
Thank you.
We can have a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I did.
That's Mr. Zinn.
Yes.
Roll call, okay. Jake Ivy,
Aye.
Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
and Dale Zinn.
Aye.
The motion has been approved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last case. 2020-1921. Office of Archaeological Studies. Agent for the City of Santa Fe requests approval of an archaeological testing and monitoring plan for the installation of the Tasuki Runner Sculpture Garden at the Santa Fe Community Convention Center in the historic downtown Archaeological Review District. We have a staff report. Anything to add to that, Lisa?
I will just add for transparency that the contract for this project is being issued by the Land Use Department in coordination with the Arts and Culture Department.
Okay.
But nothing else to add.
All right. Office of Archaeological Studies, who will speak to this? And feel free to tell us whatever we need to know.
I'm afraid you're stuck with me on this one, which is okay. It's one of those projects that reveals some of the major weaknesses in the performance of my own office, as well as in a lot of the background documentation that we would love to be able to rely on NIMCRIS for, but it's only as good as what gets put into it. So I'll be working to upgrade the quality of the information on 1051 at the conclusion of this project.
All right. Anything concerning the details that you need to point out?
Nothing that I didn't try to include in the plan.
All right. We'll move to the committee. Member Zinn.
I have no comments except for great maps.
Thank you. Member Wands.
Sorry. It's great maps. Thank you. No comments otherwise.
Thank you. Member Ivy.
I have no comments either.
Thank you. Member Pierce.
I think it's a great plan. No concerns.
Thank you. And let me make it unanimous. Good job.
Thank you.
Make a motion.
Well, we have to ask
Chairman, I move for
public comment. Mr. Chair.
oh,
Sorry.
public.
It's hard to break a habit of however many years it's been when never asked for public comment in a public meeting, and now we have to ask for a public comment. So very sorry.
No problem.
Anyone who wishes to make a question or make a comment, ask a question, signify by raising your digital hand.
I am seeing none, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Therefore, I do move for approval of case 2020-01921 ARC, testing and monitoring for the Tsuki Runner sculpture as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. May we have the roll call?
Yes, sir. Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
Dale Zan,
Aye.
and Jake Abbey.
Aye.
The motion has been approved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have item G, discussion items.
Mr. Chair, I believe we have no discussion items this evening.
All right. Committee members, any matters you wish to bring before the committee? Hearing none, we'll move to administrative matters and communications. Lisa, what's going on?
I have on the agenda this evening the 2020 Santa Fe Heritage Preservation Awards and the selection of the winner of the Archaeological Award. I'm a little bit behind on that. I will be emailing a ballot to each of you. And I just wanted to also reiterate that if you have any nominations, any projects that or stories that you would deem worthy of telling in this kind of a venue of honoring awardees this year, that we've made the decision to honor projects instead of individual people who are doing the work this year. So if you have any last minute nominees, please get them to me ASAP. We're going to be issuing a press release with the award winners sometime hopefully by the end of next week. So I will be sending a ballot in short order. So please do get in touch if you have any cases or projects you wish to see nominated or highlighted in this year's awards.
All right, thank you. No other administrative matters?
No other administrative matters.
All right, then if the long-suffering attendees have nothing to say or ask, signify by raising your digital hand, we can move on to the next item.
I move, we adjourn.
Second.
Comes as a shock to me.
May we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Derek Pierce,
Aye.
Courtney Wands,
Aye.
Dale Zan,
Aye.
Jake Abbey.
Aye.
The motion has been approved, Mr. Chair. And for the record, could I get you to state the time?
Okay, as of 4:24 p.m., we are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
all.
you, Lisa.
Thank you guys for
Good
hanging
job.
in this video format. Appreciate everybody. And
I just can't believe it. No, it's still that long.
all right, I'm gonna.
Are we